So I'm going to start off today with a guest, my first guest, Adam Schwarz, and I'm going to let him introduce himself and what he's all about. I just want to say, as far as the everyday-isms, before we start on the topic of real estate and relationships, everyday-isms to me is if something bothers you, if you broke a toenail, things that everyday people could relate to. Traffic jam, if something political, whatever you want to talk about. Like yesterday, there was something on the news about that was reeling about a dog wearing snow boots. And it annoyed me because it doesn't interest me. But anything that either annoys you or interests you, I want to start off 5 minutes of that of the show. So, again, so that everyday people could feel that we all go through the same things. And so my everydayism today, my pet peeve for today is going to be pets in restaurants. And I'm only going to talk about it for a couple of minutes. And again, these are all opinionated, my opinions. This is not gospel. You have your own feelings about it. But to me, I find that a dog, and I've had dogs, so it's not that I never had dogs. I find that a dog should stay at home. Why do you have to bring a dog to a restaurant for attention is still something I don't understand, especially when the patrons, such as myself, sometimes I almost trip over the dog, and then the person wants to yell at me for almost tripping over their dog. So that's one of my things. And by doing everyday-isms, and there's a delicious amount of things you could go on forever about, I want people to know that we all have the same complaints usually. So that's mine for today, for this show. Adam, do you have something from yesterday or today or last week or something that...
You know what? I would say, and this is universal, negative people. People that everything is always not going to work out, or, why, like questioning the validity or
Right.
whatever the case may be. I'm eternally positive. So,
Which is wonderful.
yeah, so, you almost have to convince me that something's not going to work out. So, yeah, just...
And I'm one of those negative people. I'm getting better over the years, but it's very tough. Life is tough to begin with, but when something goes wrong, it is a very difficult thing to deal with. But being positive, do you feel that being positive though brings you a step closer to what you're going for instead of backwards?
So I think there's two things about it. Number one, if you feel that way, then yeah, it is more likely. There's something to be said on some level for manifestation or whatever it is, or even your energy, whatever the case may be. But also, I've found in my life, of all the different things that can go right and go wrong, there's a greater percentage that have gone right. So if I always assume that, I'll be wrong once in a while, but I'll feel good all the time. And if I was to assume that things will happen badly or negatively,
Right.
then I'd end up being surprised, but I live my life negative. So I just feel like it's better for me. It gives my better probabilities. It makes my heart happy. So
That's great. Yeah. So now Adam is also a member of, there's a singles group in South Florida called the HH Group. It's actually pretty successful. Scott Walker runs it. And if you want to join and you're in our age group or below our age group or above our age group, there's many, many members, and I think you would enjoy it if you joined. There's always a place to go. Am I right about that?
Yeah, sure.
So that's how I met Adam, through the HH social group. And so now I'm going to give the mic over to him and let him introduce himself, what he does, what he's here for, and so on.
So when I connected with you on Facebook, I was interested in your podcast because there's a bunch of different facets of life that I'd like to share. But to start, I'm Adam Schwarz. I'm a single dad in Boca. Got two boys, 20 and 10. One is at UF where I went, and the other one's with me. Half the time. I am the Giving Realtor. So I spent over 20 years as a financial advisor. Went through some stuff, lost my mom, lost my dad, got divorced in 2.5 years. Took some time, started working for the American Cancer Society because that was inspiring for me after losing my mom to cancer. After that, when I decided that real estate was where I wanted to go, I didn't want to lose the contact with all of the nonprofit people that I had built relationships with. I felt like we were all on the same page.
Right.
So I created the Giving Realtor, which is I donate 10% of everything that I earn to the nonprofit of my client's choice.
Of your client's choice,
Yeah.
which is That's a wonderful thing. I mean, that alone, because not many people. I mean, I shouldn't say not many people, but it's hard to find a lot of giving people. I believe, again, everything I say is my opinion. I believe it's a selfish world.
Mm-hmm.
I really do. And I lived in both states now, New York and Florida. And if you want to meet people on your level, and if you want to meet people that are genuine, it's a little difficult. And especially as we're single people, because the single life alone is a bit phony. You got to go out there and just try to make up a conversation anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
But tell me a little more about that Giving Realty thing.
Yeah, so after building all the relationships over the years that I did, now what I do for my clients is, for example, there was somebody that I met with yesterday, and she has breathing-related issues, and she customized her house to be accommodating for people to avoid toxins and things like that and whatever. So one of the things that I'm doing now is reaching out to foundations, nonprofits, organizations, whatever, that focus on breathing issues and even on some of those toxins or whatever, going to them, presenting her house to them,
Mm-hmm.
because they'd obviously have a vested interest in it and they'd care about it. And then after the sale is complete, then I donate 10% of whatever I earned right back to the foundation that's helping people that have breathing issues as well.
Okay, cool. So when the person comes to you with a problem, before you actually show them the property, you kind of investigate the property, make sure it's healthy, and
Well, no, this was just an instance. So I guess what I should have said really more is every single one of my clients is going to get a customized plan of some sort, right? So I want to target people, like for listings is mostly.
right.
So if somebody lists their home with me, I want to go to places that might have an interest in facilitating that, right? And those are so that'll be a sort of a niche market that typically isn't used. So most realtors will put you on the MLS and just hope that they get phone calls. But I'm going out to nonprofits and talking to them about, even if it's a church or a synagogue, for example, I'll say, hey, there's a beautiful home right in your neighborhood. If you share with your, with the members of your congregation or whatever, that this is for sale, if they come and if they like it or if they recommend it to their mother, brother, or whatever, my donation can turn around, come right back to your church or your synagogue.
Ah,
And so I'm customizing every marketing plan to every home and expanding it on social media and everything I can as well.
so you have and at the end, I'll let you give all your information.
Yeah.
Do you is it commercial real estate involved too, or no?
No, I'm primarily residential. I mean, I have partners that do commercial, but I'm residential.
Residential, and
Yeah.
you rent as well, or just for buying?
Yeah, absolutely. It can be listing or buying or leasing or renting for sure.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man, it's down here. The most of the people, especially the women, most of the people, everybody's in the real estate game.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know if they're making money. They might be, but I know I live in Pompano, and they're putting up buildings at record pace.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the traffic from the buildings is so incredible that some points of the day I don't even leave my house. But it's climbing. I mean, it's really climbing, and it's right on the beach. So I guess if you're a northeasterner or you're coming from that area, and a lot of places want cash.
Mm-hmm.
Is that your premise if they could take out loans at your company?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, a cash buyer is simpler because there's no contingency about their financing fell through or whatever it is. So that's the dream, but that's not everybody's story.
Right.
So it partly depends on your price point and on who you're marketing toward and all of that. But ultimately, it's about making a good marriage between buyer and seller. So cash offers are easier, but people still can get mortgages, and rates are coming down significantly from where they were a year and two ago. So they're more affordable.
Yeah, I don't follow that. I was going to ask you that next. The rates have been coming down.
Yeah, they've been coming down. The thing is that we're at a kind of a sticking point where they're expected to still come down some more.
Right.
So some people are kind of on the fence. They don't want to make a move now, but they're going to come down only a little bit more. And so sometimes waiting for you to lose a half a point or a quarter a point on your rate, if the value of the home goes up and you end up paying more for it, then you negated any gain. So we're in that kind of crossroads now.
Now, do you get a lot of people from other states, or do you get a lot of Floridians are still moving around in the area?
A lot of it is local to local, for sure. But lately, there's been a little bit more sort of New York to down here. for
Mostly New York or Boston too, right? A lot.
yeah, I'm from everywhere, but I mean the ones that I come in contact with more are from New York, and again, it's probably my circle. You know,
Well, what do you think of the market today, though? After COVID, and after the prices had actually skyrocketed too much. I think,
yeah,
and I see a lot of seniors leaving Florida because they didn't think that they don't think they can catch up with the HOAs and the assessments. So there's a problem with that. I know down on the beach side of Florida. Are you finding any problems with that? Are people asking a lot of those questions?
well, yeah, people are trying to figure out where it's going to settle because the market has come down, and so yeah, I mean things had soared to just completely unreasonable prices.
I believe so, yes.
And now they have pulled back to something that's significantly more reasonable. So because now when you start looking at, the growth over 10 years, it starts to look a little bit more traditional, if you will, because it's come down from that high point. So,
You think it'll bottom out?
I mean, I think that we're near, and I think so because there's never going to be a lack of people coming to Florida.
Right.
So we're never going to have a lack of demand. So the question is, like where that supply-demand line is now versus before. And yeah, now there's a little bit more supply than there was, but the demand will never stop. And so I don't feel like we're ever going to have a prolonged, down period here. Really, there would be no reason to believe
That's
that.
good news, though.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, and I realized as I got older as well, I never thought I would make Florida my permanent resident. But now that I feel the cold up in New York, I know where I am now is where I'm going to stay. New York has become a nice place to visit, but I don't want to live there anymore. And, and I'm sure a lot of people feel the same way. I got a question for you since you're in the real estate game. I don't know if it's brought to the attention of all the agents or Governor DeSantis is moving towards for seniors towards a tax-free or a tax discount for homeowners. You think that's going to pass?
So there's a few things that are going on. One is the elimination of the
Property tax.
property tax. Thank you.
How would they afford it, though?
Well, so that's the thing. So the question really is what's that based on, and how's it doable, right? So those property taxes, they pay for things. So the question is, where would the money come from instead, or what would we have to eliminate?
Right.
So I don't think that will ever pass, only because those are two questions that are really hard to answer. Right? You're gonna have to generate the income somewhere else. So if it's not property owners, well, now it's everybody, and so maybe those people will vote against it. If you're not a property owner, you don't care about property taxes, maybe.
Correct.
So everyone gets a vote. So I just don't think that those things will happen, just because you've got to make up for that revenue somewhere.
And property being not only homes but condominiums and co-ops as well, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So anyone out there listening, you just got a nice education on what's going on down here. I mean, I have a lot of people in New York always asking me, I want to come down, I want to buy a second place, and I don't want to knock Florida, but I don't want people pockets to empty out, and that's what I did. When I first came down here, I thought, okay, I could buy a place, there'll be the HOAs, there'll be the taxes, and there'll be the mortgage if there is one. I didn't bank on there'll be more HOAs, more assessments,
Insurance
skyrocketing. So I do recommend, I don't not recommend the state. It's a beautiful state. I mean, the weather, look, it's 85 degrees here today. In my hometown, it's a foot of snow. But you really do have to read the fine print. And if you get a real estate agent, an honest real estate agent, you have to ask all those questions before you sign anything. It's sort of like a car, when you buy a car and then you go home and you forget you didn't read the fine print and, oh my God, it's only warranted for 6 months, not a year.
Right.
But
I think, not to interrupt, but
no, it's fine.
But I think the one question I've realized this as of late, the number one question that you really should ask any listing agent, if you're talking about listing your home, is what's their marketing plan look like? Because it is really common that they put it on MLS and they think that they've done their job and they're going to collect their 3% and it's just going to happen. And maybe it does. But in a market like this, you have to be creative. And that's why I share with people my degrees from the University of Florida in advertising. So when it comes to creative marketing and things of that nature, like that's where you're going to get that. So that's why I was talking about targeting specific nonprofits or, going to churches, to synagogues, things along those lines.
No, that's, you draw people in and you help people out, type of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know many real estate agents. I know a few because I had to move down here, but there was some that you could see were more vested in your interest and some in their own interest, and with the dealing and the money and what to offer and what not to offer. So I would suggest, and I'm not saying this because you're on my show, but the Giving Realtor, and it goes to a profit too. I mean, a nonprofit. It goes to an organization that can help people.
For sure.
And cancer certainly is in my wheelhouse. I don't understand after 100 years why they haven't found the cure, but if it takes keep doing, then that's what we have to do.
For sure.
I myself belong to the Gilda Radner Cancer. It's called the Clubhouse.
Yeah, no, I know.
And they're just wonderful people. They help people. And unless you're in the game or have a family member that has gone through this, you really wouldn't understand what the dynamics of the whole thing is. But anyway, that's not the show today, Cancer. That's for another day. But moving on, we're gonna talk about, and we're not gonna be misogynist here. We're just gonna talk about, obviously, with two men sitting here, we're gonna talk about the single life in South Florida. Is it similar to the single life in New York? I guess it is. And the age dynamics and what people are looking for. I'm first gonna tell you what I see out there. I, at my age, and I'm 67 years old, I thought it would be fairly easy to reconnect and find someone else, because I'm divorced and you're divorced, and I thought it would be somewhat of everybody wants to just be happy, but it's not, in my opinion. There's a lot of money involved. So if you're a gentleman that's has the money and looking to go to dinner, that's fine. But a lot of the people that I meet, they want a dinner rather than a coffee date, or they want a dinner. And I'm not opposed to buying dinners. But in my experience, and I've been down here 5 years, it's still hard to make a connection. And matter of fact, last night I was out with a friend of mine, and she had her niece with her, and her niece is only 26 and a beautiful young lady. And she told me she's having a hard time meeting someone, and and I guess with all the happy horse shit from Facebook and everything else, you think there's something wrong with you. But when you talk to real people on the ground, it's pretty difficult. What's your assessment on that?
So I think that the problem that's happening now is where people are looking and how they're looking. So I think trying to meet people online, it's terrific in the sense that you can go through a volume of people that you would never get in person. So I can go and sort of shop through 100 girls right now in the next hour, swiping whatever direction, you know, and that's great. But all I know about those girls is the few little pictures that they chose,
Right.
and whatever it is that they want to tell you about them. So you go and you try and communicate a little bit via text, but it's sketchy, and then you meet however, and then they put on, that isn't genuine.
No.
So for me, I don't like any of the online stuff. The volume of people I run into is less than swipe, whatever. But if I meet you out and I see you and you see me, I walk up to you and I have a conversation with you and we somehow end up going out, we've already at least figured out that there's some level of connection. I've seen how you actually look and move and smile, felt your energy, and that's just how I prefer to do things, and then I don't have the difficulties that you're describing.
No, I 100% agree with you, because I've tried the online dating, and honestly, I have not been successful at it. The online dating, and the women complain too, so I know this is both, both sexes agree with this. They get a lot of amount of men that try to scam them and stuff. But I can tell you, and I haven't been scammed out of any serious money, but I can tell you that they are not genuine, most of them. I mean, and I think they did a survey on this. I'm not quite sure. But like you said, if you clicked on 10, you might get 7 that just aren't even the person you're looking at. And so it's very difficult. I do know a handful of people that have connected through online dating. I'm not one of them. It's another reason to hope, I guess, because when you get those responses back and forth, you say, well, maybe this person likes me, but you don't even, like you said, you don't even know who they are. There's no connection. It could be a little guy in Africa somewhere in a basement trying to get some money out of you.
Totally.
And it's a sad thing, and it's been going on for years. It's not going to change. And the other thing I found about it is it's generic as far. That's when some of the sites. There's so many sites now, so buyer beware. Other than there are some legit sites like Match and what's the other one? What's the other big one? OK Cupid or
there's Hinge.
There's
Bumble.
Hinge, Bumble, but there are especially down here. If you're on Facebook, you'll see many. When you scroll through, a new site came up, no cost. All bullshit. They all cost money. Nothing is free.
Especially for the men.
Especially for the men. They'll let the women come on, right, to entice the men to come into their realm, but it's not free. Nothing is free.
My son and I were watching Shark Tank last night, and they were presenting this dating app, and it said entirely paid for by men. And
Really?
my son, he was like, well, how's that fair? And I pointed out that, I mean, that's the way a lot of them work, is because, it's a different game for men and women when they're single.
Yeah, the man has to pay. Like the man has to pay for dinner, he has to pay for the dating site. Yeah. There is also another one that a lot of people use, and I'm not advocating, I'm not promoting any dating sites, but some of them are more fierce than the others, and they allow the women because they draw in the customers, and the monthly fees are very high. And the other thing you have to watch out for, which says no money, they automatically put you on a restart. So if you don't sign up and immediately cancel the end of that week or month, they'll continue to charge you every month. And it's a scamming world. But there are so many down here now, and they advertise, and it's generic. So you send out a text, or you send out a hi or a wave or whatnot, and you get back an immediate response. That's a red flag right there. Right. Who's sitting by their computer waiting for a hand to go? But again, foolishly, I've done it. Like I have test tried it, because all of them give you like maybe a 3-day test trial. So you try yourself to just keep banging it out there and putting it out there. And it's craziness. Yeah. It's absolute craziness. So anyone out there that feels that they're not being successful online, be cognizant that not many people are. So the few Facebook happies, there's a lot of people getting hurt. And I think the most vulnerable, and you could agree with me or not, are the older people, such as myself, women and men, because we're older now and we don't go out as much, and we don't have the same charisma we might have had at 27 as to 67. So we're looking for someone to find someone nice and compatible. So you get a little spark of hope, even though it's weird. You already know. You ever get that feeling? You already know it's garbage, but you do it anyway.
Yeah. I think that like you're saying, if there's people that don't want to go out so much, don't feel comfortable and confident, trying to meet people, whatever, it seems like the easy answer. But much like everything else, if something seems too easy, it possibly is. And so, I'm sure you're going to get a lot of people that are disingenuous, scams or whatever the case may be.
Scams is one of my big pet peeves, and I won't talk about it today, but it really bothers me how many people try to take advantage of other people. Really, I'm a retired policeman, so it really bothers me, especially when the people you're taking advantage of might not have much. Right. And again, that's another show. But where do you've been divorced for 3 years, you said?
No. Divorced for, it's about to be 6.
Okay, I'm 13. And people often ask me, especially family members, when you're going to meet someone. I've gotten so used to living my own life, I don't even know if I want to be married again. Isn't that crazy? Like half of me does, but half of me is like, I don't know.
It's funny. It is really this kind of pulling, like a tug of war,
right.
Mentally, because you're right. There is something really great about waking up with somebody and having coffee in the morning. Correct. And talking about your day and this but there's also something amazing about having your entire bed to sleep whatever direction you want, coming and going wherever you want. I mean, there's good and bad with all of it. The dream,
Or not, or someone calling you saying I'm running late, 5 minutes is into a half an hour, an hour.
Right.
But go ahead, I'm sorry.
no, but I mean, I think the goal is that you find somebody that being with them all the time doesn't bother you, and you actually look forward to it and like it. So that's the dream.
Do you when you do try to meet someone, do you go to nightclubs, bars, museums, do you try into supermarkets, anywhere?
Yeah, no, I think that the supermarkets, that's the stereotype. I've never figured out a way that isn't weird.
Myself included.
Yeah,
I don't.
yeah. I mean, if you think about it, in order to actually like get somebody's phone number and make a real connection,
It's hard. It's difficult.
you've got to at least have a little bit of time to have a real conversation. So if like I'm getting eggs and you're getting cheese and you look cute, my window is what.
Yeah, you feel weird saying, "Give me a number."
Yeah, I'm not gonna. So it's never gonna happen there, in my opinion. So I find the weirdest places, not weirdest, but like the most unexpected. So it's not there. Like I literally had somebody knock on my door for the Nielsen ratings.
Really?
Yeah, and
What do you mean for the Nielsen ratings?
you know the Nielsen ratings. You know when they put the box on your TV and they see what shows you're watching, and that's
No,
how
I don't. Oh, yeah, I should know. That's an old time
it's
thing,
a
though.
million years old.
Yeah, yeah,
They've
yeah.
been. That's how they get TV, whatever the ratings and all that. They see what you're watching. So she
Right.
comes, she knocks on my door, and she's like, "I'm with Nielsen ratings. I was making dinner for my kids, like whatever." But she was kind of cute, so I opened the door. I talked to her. Next thing you know, it was her birthday. A couple days later, I took her out for her birthday.
Okay.
So it doesn't matter where. It's been at networking groups, or it's been at even some sort of business meeting where there's a bunch of people, and it could be training, the gym, anywhere. So
Well,
yeah.
I'm usually more confident when I have a couple of drinks in me, and that's the truth. I mean, that's probably for most people. It's like you said. I going shopping. I could see an attractive woman. It's very difficult for me to go, "Hi, what are you looking for?" Or
Right.
I like to get your number. But I like to meet people in the cultural venue too. Like, but I haven't done that either. I mean, I have a friend that always tells me, "Why don't you go to the library? Why don't you?" I'm like, dude. You don't go to the library to pick up women, in my opinion. Can you? I'm sure that people have.
Isn't the basic premise of the library that you're not supposed to really talk?
Yeah, I mean, it's now the other thing about online dating that disturbs me is the same questions. It's so generic. It's so generic. Are you married? Are you divorced? Do you have children? Where do they live? If all human beings were honest, you don't have to ask those questions. I'm on this site because I'm single and I'm looking to meet someone. And I'm not looking to meet you and take you home. I'm looking to meet you and go to dinner and go to coffee, to walk on the beach, whatever. It's just a different time. And I'm from a different time. I'm from the 70s and 80s, and those days I miss. I really do. Because other than dinner, I remember going to movies all the time on the first date. I don't even know if there's any open movie theaters now. I mean, they're open, but do you know anybody that goes to the movies?
Not much. Not much at all.
So I mean, I'm kind of nostalgic in that sense. So I urge people, I guess, to keep trying. I mean, you can't do nothing. What do you think?
I think go out of your house and talk to people. I think that, online works, that's fine. But the more you're out and making eye contact and having conversations with regular people.
That's the big one,
For sure.
Eye contact.
I've taught my kids that since they were really small, that number one, if you're trying to attract somebody, you need that. But even if you're trying to get somebody's attention from a business standpoint or from whatever,
100%.
My kids from the time they were really little would be in a restaurant and they'd be like, "Oh, I want more, whatever." And I'd say, "Well, make eye contact with the server. They'll see you, and then notion, and they'll come." And so eye contact is so critical.
Right.
Another friend of mine.
You can't text the server.
Right, no, for sure. Another friend of mine was married for a lot of years. And then when she was single, she was like, "I go out, but I don't know how to meet people."
Right.
And I told her just the most basic thing. I go, if you see somebody you think is kind of cute, look at him. Make sure he sees you're looking at him. Smile, and then look away. And I was like, and then you know what? He's probably going to come and say hi. So she was like, "Oh my God, that was gold." So
and that's an American thing, because in Europe, a lot of countries in Europe or South America, the women sometimes make the first move. They'll come over, they'll tap you on the shoulder. Here it's like, you got to do it. You got to say, hi, I'm so-and-so. And sometimes, though, you'll get that smile and walk over, because it's happened to me. And I'll say, hey, I was looking at you, you were looking at me. She goes, no, keep moving.
Right.
So it's, look, it's an ancient game that men and women play. I take it more seriously now. Again, everything to me subconsciously is about age. How much time do I have left? How much time does she have left? I mean, when I got married, I was very young, and my ex-wife was very young. So you didn't even think of things like that. How long are we going to last? And all of that. And now, just want peace and no drama. And
I tell everybody that's my number one, is peace.
can you tell right away if a person has drama?
Pretty quickly. The first conversation, yes.
Yeah?
I have a pretty good, pretty acute radar for that after some experiences. So, for sure.
And do you have, do you mind? See, a lot of men don't mind. A lot of women mind. Let's be honest. There's a meme on these sites that say, men look for, or women look for money, and men look for, I don't even,
Beauty or something.
yeah, for men it's physical. For women it's what they can get. And again, I'm not saying all women.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the way it goes, man. It's and some people don't have that kind of money. Now, South Florida, as you know, because you grew up here and you live here, I notice a lot of age disparities. Did you notice that up in Boca?
Yeah. I think there's a few reasons for that.
And I think money is the number one reason.
Yeah, I think so. I think also, though, I was actually just talking to my son about this yesterday. I said, what they look for, and you said maybe it was like physical versus money versus whatever. I think a little bit of it is that girls, a lot of times, they look to men as people that can take care of them, right? In any capacity. Now, sometimes it's money or whatever, but sometimes it's just because they're strong, or sometimes it's because they're calm and cool, or sometimes it's whatever it is. But so that tends to be an older person than them more often than not.
Right.
And with men, like it's just kind of, it's different. So they want to, I don't know how to explain it, but like maybe a little bit want to just enjoy themselves, have a good time, have something that's light, and then like the younger somebody is, the more light they're kind of taking life, whatever. And so maybe there's some component of that. But for me, I feel like I'm 53, and when I meet people that are my age, they feel old.
The women, you mean?
Yeah. So I feel like, and again, not entirely, whatever, but for the most part, for me to relate to somebody and for me to be able to like envision doing life with somebody, they have to be younger than me, because they just have more energy and more. It's just a different feel being with somebody. I'm not talking about somebody, 20, 30 years younger, but
No, I know exactly what you're saying.
but
10,
definitely-
15 years younger.
yeah.
But do you feel, or are you nervous about, sometimes my negativity creeps in. What if I don't have enough energy for them?
No.
As far as that she wants to go here, wants to go there, wants to go there. I like to lounge a lot and loaf a lot.
Yeah.
I've done my work. I've done a lot of things in life that I don't need to go back to do. I'm not a bore, but I don't want to hang out at the elbow room every Friday and Saturday night.
Well, no, there's a line for sure. I think that, like everything, there's a mix. So I cannot be with somebody that wants to be out all the time, and I cannot not because I can't, I just don't want to.
Right.
And I don't want to be with somebody that doesn't want to go out at all. Because they just want to be home and whatever. There's got to be a good balance, and it could be, one day we're out 7 days, and one day, and then we don't go out for a month. It could be, I don't really care, but everything's got to be flexible enough that, hey, if something comes up and it sounds fun, let's do it.
Right.
If nothing comes up and we're relaxing, just chilling here, let's do that too. I just can't feel limited because they either want to party all the time or they're boring.
Right. No, I hear you on that. And again, being cautious is maybe too much of a thing with me. Like sometimes, and I'm not cheap. Like I said, I don't mind the dinners, and I don't mind cover charges for wherever we're going, or if we go to Macy's and you want this. But I have I have met younger women down here that want a credit card, you know, I can't be bothered with that kind of nonsense, because you got to have a little loyalty, I believe. And so, yeah, it's always a give and take, and men have to give a little more. I certainly agree to that. But again, it's difficult. And the complaints I hear from women are that we suck, you know, and the complaint I hear from men are, they're using you. And so it becomes toxic in your head. So it takes time, I guess. You know, it takes time.
I feel like I hear the men suck a lot. I enjoy a little bit hearing that, because I know that whenever it is that I'm with somebody, they're going to get a completely different experience and will appreciate it. So I don't really mind hearing that, because the truth is that a lot of guys do. It's cool. That's kind of their problem. So yeah, I enjoy proving all of that.
But is it the old adage that women are attracted more to the men that suck than the nice guy because you hear a lot of that too, you know, and the guy who scratches his head and says, "What did I do wrong?"
I think that's such an easy thing that people completely misconstrue. So I don't think it's that women want a guy that acts like they don't care about them. My son and I are watching Stranger Things, and they actually just, in the last episode, like, you got to treat her like you don't even know she exists, like you don't care.
They say that all the time. Okay. Machiavelli says that.
Nonsense. Like, absolute nonsense.
Yeah.
It isn't that they want to chase you because you don't care at all. It's that they don't want you to be all over them and be like, I love you, I want you, I need you. So again, it's about striking a balance. It's about showing an interest, but not being like, obsessed, like calling them all the time, being like, I miss you, I need you. So it's not about showing no interest. It's just about regulating the fact that
even if you miss them and need them, you really shouldn't let them know every day.
Yeah, I mean, like, again, there's different periods in relationships. If you're with somebody for a long period of time, call them and tell them you miss them every 20 minutes if you want.
Right.
But once you're getting to know somebody and all that, if you're telling them, like, I miss you, and you're only a couple weeks old or whatever, you need to shut up.
I agree with that. Right. Good morning. I just met you.
Right.
Good morning every morning.
Well, that's the thing. Expecting a good morning every morning when something is casual, like, you just got to make boundaries.
And the divorce rate in the United States is horrible. I think it's up to 56%, if I'm not mistaken. So again, it's something worth talking about, because it's not a secret what we're talking about. Everybody goes through the same thing, and that's what I like. I want people to know you're not alone. Everybody goes through the same thing. The balance would be, when you find that balance, to maintain it, I suppose, because there are going to be struggles. There are going to be struggles. And I think today a lot of the struggles cause a break right away sometimes.
Yeah.
From what I see.
I think that if both people don't wake up pretty much every single day ecstatic that they found the person that they're with, then you're going to have problems. But if you wake up knowing that, like, you're fortunate that you found this person,
right,
you'll work through everything and it's going to be fine. So, but the thing is that sometimes one does and the other's like, ugh, or they're both just kind of like, well, she's nice, or he's nice, this works. When you're in that type of thing, it's doomed.
And I also think the word love gets thrown around too much. Everybody, I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you. And then you don't see them. You get ghosted sometimes. So it does work both ways. Both men hurt women and women hurt men. And the balance is hopefully that you find someone and don't have to have that on one of your worry rungs in life. Because it does, if you're going to be honest with yourself, I don't believe anyone really wants to be alone all the time. There are certain people that adjust to being alone. I personally would rather be alone than settle.
Right.
Like, I don't want halfway. Well, I love you halfway and you're good to me. You got to have that chemistry, and it has to sustain itself. And if the chemistry dies, you either rebuild it or you have to move on.
Yeah, I think my goal is to find a person that is as good a match for me as I can find, that makes me really happy, that I make them happy, that we're, that's the dream, the goal, that's fine. I'm not going to give all of myself to anybody as soon as I know that isn't you. So, like, I've dated people for weeks, months, whatever the case may be, and been very clear that we have a ceiling because this isn't forever.
Right.
And so that's the thing I think also that works is when they talk about, men suck and whatever, I think there's a lot of dishonesty. So with me, I am beyond honest from the very beginning. And there have been a lot of people that I've gone out with that have said, you know what, the one thing that I love most about you is that,
being beyond honest?
yeah, that you're super clear with me. There's never any confusion about what we are, what we're not. I appreciate that so that nothing goes awry. So I think delicately honest, like you're not going to, you don't have to be mean.
No, I know that.
But being really clear about who you are and what you want and what this is for you is critical.
Doesn't happen often, though.
It does not.
It does not happen often. A lot of people, and sometimes I pause, the judgment thing is a big thing too.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I was a teenager, it certainly wasn't the same as today. When my parents were teenagers, it wasn't the same as today. And you hear all the stories about how people meet and blah, blah, blah. Today, potentially, you could meet someone that has a really, how would you say it? Body count, they call it now. Does that matter to you? You don't have to answer it. No, you don't. But it's a big thing on TV now. I see it on the shows on the TLC channel.
I laugh because I don't ask ever.
Right.
Because I prefer not to answer.
Right.
Because I don't really think that it's that important. I get it. But yeah, I just try and avoid it altogether because it's never comfortable. And if your number is low, then someone thinks one thing. If your number is high, they think another. And ultimately just judge me on me and how I treat you.
I feel like you feel. At my age, I'm not looking for the perfect person.
Yeah.
But the psychological end of that I read about, again, who knows where they do these surveys. They say that a person with a high body count no longer has the capacity to love because they might have been in love 20 times before.
Okay. So first of all, nonsense, I think.
No, I respect your opinion.
Yeah, I think that that one has nothing to do with the other.
Right.
Because if you think about it, like sex can mean a bunch of different things.
Right.
So if it's casual, then that doesn't have anything to do with your ability to love or be loved or, whatever, things like that. So you never know what people's stories are. The one thing, ironically, that I think I'd probably be less inclined if I knew someone's number is somebody with a very low number, only because then you wonder what.
Nobody liked you?
No, well, that, or what have you even done? Like, what have you figured out? Because obviously, I think over life, what makes you more well-rounded is different experiences.
Yeah,
whatever.
I agree.
And so I feel like if you've been with one or two or three people and you're grown, then you probably haven't explored a whole lot. You're not that creative or whatever. So I'd actually be more inclined to a bigger number than smaller number.
Wow. Yeah, no.
Uncommon.
Well, I'm from what they call the old-fashioned Italian world, and you know how old-fashioned Italian men are. Matter of fact, there was Martin Scorsese's first movie, Who's That Knocking at My Door, if you ever heard of it. Harvey Keitel played an Italian local neighborhood guy, and he fell in love with this woman, but he put her on a pedestal. He didn't even want to touch her right away because that was going to be his wife. But he had a mistress as well, and he separated the two with the Madonna, the Madonna whore complex. And so even obviously back then, and the person he wanted to marry, that woman would be like, how come you're not more adventurous? And then he'd be with the girlfriend. He was very adventurous. So it's kind of strange how some people think. But again, everyone deserves a fair shake, I believe. And knowing you now, I think you're a smart guy, and I actually think you could be a life coach. I'm not kidding. I mean, I'm not just going to throw that out there. I mean,
it did occur to me.
People need help, man. People need to and not take things personally. I think that's a big thing too. You go somewhere, someone just might not like you because they don't like you. So you can't be like, right. It's. So it's a difficult time. I'm going to stay on this topic for my next few interviews because, I just want to get a general idea of different men, and if any woman from the group wants to come on, they're more than welcome. Actually, there's one woman from the group, and I forget her name now. She runs a matchmaking thing. Did you ever see her on the business side of HH?
I don't know.
She runs where you go to these venues and what is it called?
Like speed dating?
Speed dating, yeah. So, I mean, people are trying. People are trying to get out there. And I'll discuss this, like I said. If I forgot anything, I'm sure I'll remember it the next time. But the time we have left, I want to be yours, and I want you to say whatever you like to say about your business, your life, whatever you want, anything you want.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah. Didn't expect it, but let's do it.
If you don't want to, you don't have to.
No, I'm not.
We could just shoot the shit, you know?
I'm fearless, don't worry. Just a short version, I guess. And actually, you know what? I'll take a step and say something.
Oh, not to cut you off, but one more thing. At the end, when you finish,
Yeah.
give the viewers not only your name, your social media contacts, and if you have a website, a phone number, whatnot.
Yeah. Something we didn't even discuss that literally just came to me when you said, like, what do you want to say? I take an enormous amount of pride in the father that I am. So I feel like if there are dads listening, go spend time with your kids. Go be a good example to your kids. Hug them, tell them you love them, participate in things. Like, just be a good influence and a good role model, because it goes a really long way.
Right.
And I got a 10-year-old and a 20-year-old. They are beyond phenomenal kids. And it's because they've always felt loved, safe, secure. I teach them things while we're driving in the car. We talk about business stuff. My little one came on a listing appointment with me last night.
Great, yeah.
So be involved, and you literally will change your kids' lives, like, drastically, because not all dads do. So
No, as a matter of fact, I see a lot of, on social media popping up now, a lot of psychologists or wannabe psychologists. This parental alienation is a big thing now, man. It's a big thing, you know. A lot of men are hurting.
Yeah.
And we could do another show on that if you'd like another time.
Yeah, no.
And it really is astounding. But the world changes, and you got to change with it, I guess. I think the one thing that is constant is human beings in nature. And, you know, you could change electronics and you can change anything you want, but you can't change personality sometimes. So you can go back to ancient Rome and things that were going on there are happening still. There are a lot of people that, and he's a positive guy, I'm the negative guy. There are a lot of people that really don't give a shit about other people, and in relationships as well. So there's no answer. I'm not looking for solutions. I'm just looking to talk it out with people that want to talk about it. I think it's interesting. There's a million podcasts out there, and I'm hoping I could be the 1,000,001. And my first guest is a fine guest. And just, Adam, can you please give us your information? Adam's going to tell you about the Giving Realtor and his other ventures.
Yep. So, you can find me at thegivingrealtor.org. It's my website. Adam Schwarz on Facebook, and the Giving Realtor on Facebook. Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, LinkedIn, all of the above. Just to go over again, basically, any of your real estate needs, we do a transaction of some sort. I donate 10% of whatever I earn to the nonprofit of your choice. Not up to me at all. Whatever touches your heart, I donate. It's in your name. But beyond that, obviously, anybody that comes to me gets a customized marketing plan. I go over all the numbers, all the details, all the everything of how we're going to price it, where we're going to market it. Each week, I'll check in with you, tell you what I've done, what we're changing, what we're keeping. So it's a really hands-on and feel-good kind of relationship. So
I like that. Yes, it sounds wonderful. And thank you so much. Very knowledgeable, and I'm a little bit of a stutterer.
No, you're cool.
You know, but would you believe it? And I wanted to be an actor when I was young.
Really?
But when you put me in front of these things, you know.
Yeah, the camera does not frighten me.
It kind of gets to me. So I'm hoping to overcome that. And again, I thank you, and I think that people should reach out to you if they're looking for a place to live, or even if they're not, because of your knowledge about you have a knowledge of nonprofit, obviously, too. And there's not enough of that in this world.
I guess my phone number also would be helpful.
Sure, go ahead.
So 561-212-5962. So I've left that part out, but thanks.
Adam, man, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
It's great to meet you, sir.
Hope you come on again.
Thank you.
Until next time, I have another guest coming on, and we'll continue the relationship conversation. It's like Seinfeld had the show about nothing. So my show is, no matter how much we discuss relationships, it's really about nothing because nobody's going to, But there's always hope, right?
And there's good stuff here.
And there's good stuff. Thank you.